So this is about to be a 3-minute video before I delve any deeper, if I delve any deeper. There are some black quote-unquote historians on here attempting to state that there was no black Tudors in Europe. Yikes. So when we begin to look at the word Tudor, it comes from the name Theodore, meaning gift from God or giving of God. The Hebraic equivalent would be Nathan. When we begin to look at Nathan, this root will also link us to Jonathan, having the same name meanings. Nathan was a son of King David, pointing to the royal lineage of kingship being black Tudors. And I can just close that up right there. King David ruled Philistine Canaan, which was the coastal regions of Africa, in 1000 BC. He began to push out the Philistines to become the Berbers, the lighter complected Berbers that you would begin to see on today. So this is already proven that the Tudors were black through the seed line of King David. When we begin to take a further delve into it, we see that David also had a servant by the name of Nathan, meaning that the Tudors, who were the servants to the kings, were also black. When we begin to look at the name Jonathan, Jonathan was the son of King Saul before David even took his throne, making Jonathan a Tudor to the king. When we begin to look at the fact that one of the brothers began to say that there's no way possible that my grandfather was mayor during the time of King James, and mayor is a governor or a vizier. When we began to look at Joseph in ancient Egypt, was he not a vizier? When we began to look at Daniel, was he not a vizier unto Nebuchadnezzar? Like, what exactly are we talking about here? When we look at the genealogy of Yeshua and Matthew and Luke, it begins to take a historical eye as well as a biblical scholar to recognize that these are two separate genealogies, due to the fact that Joseph's mother's husband died before he could make Joseph. Therefore, Joseph's mother married the next of kin, would have been her brother-in-law. So that is the as opposed to, meaning by law, according to Levirate marriage. So that begins to show the differentiation between the biological seed line of Yeshua versus the marriage seed line of Yeshua, which is why one of them goes through Solomon and the other one goes through Nathan. Neither one of those genealogies belonged to Mary. So when we begin to continue and look at the fact that one of Yeshua's bloodline didn't go through Solomon, it went through Nathan, establishing him as the tribe of Judah. Because if Yeshua went through his mother's seed line, he would be a Levite, because Mary's father name was Jocham and her mother name was Anne. Some began to suppose that Anne the prophetess was her mom in the time of Yeshua, but that's not true, because Anne the prophetess was from the tribe of Asher. Her parents were Levites. Well, I have to check to see if her mom was, but I know for a fact her father was a Levite, and they were seen giving to the poor, or the Ebionites. And this is James the Just, so on and so forth, after Yeshua began to pass away, the rights of the Ebionites. So when we even look at the connection between John Mark, whose name would also be Jonathan, going into Egypt after the death of Yeshua, John Mark, Mary Magdalene, and Joseph of Arimathea, after they left Egypt, they went into Europe, specifically France. But this is very deep history that everybody isn't aware of. You have to realize that at the fall of the temple in 70 AD, when the Romans sacked, yes, a lot of our people went back into Egypt, went into West Africa, which is where you began to have the Karaite Jews, and you began to have the Akan, the Ashanti people. We must remember that the Most High promised us that there will never fail a king to sit on the throne. So if we see kingship amongst the Akan, and we see kingship and rulership in Europe, we have to begin to ascertain the fact that the passing population were not always passing. They whitewashed our images. according to Maccabees.